Edo Minato versus the 5 Kage. This is a pretty fun video to do because we all love Minato here. The 5 Kage are sick as well, and seeing them team up for a fight was hype. So I thought this would make for an interesting video and discussion with you guys in the comments. For how this video will be laid out, we will be using Edo Minato in Madara's place against the 5 Kage during the war. So yes, this will be a 1v5 all at once and not a one at a time like the Kage Summit. Starting with Minato's abilities, he's obviously an Edo, so any damage he takes he will regenerate from, so he will need to be sealed by the 5 Kage instead of just getting punched or kicked to death. He has KCM or QB Chakra mode, Kurama Chakra mode, whatever you want to call it, he's got it. Along with that, he does have Sage mode, and while he claims to not be very good at Sage mode, he is a perfect Sage and enters it like instantly, so he is a lot better than Jiraiya at least, and in character, Minato is a very humble guy, so saying he's not the best at something even though being perfect at it does make sense for him, but we don't get to see him use it very much at all to begin with, which is weird. He also hasn't shown to be able to stack Sage mode onto KCM like Naruto can, even though KCM would help him gather nature energy and Kurama just has to allow it, which he would since he's literally doing it for Naruto, but it's the war arc and logic doesn't really apply, so whatever. He's able to use a QB avatar like Naruto could, he has shadow clones, sealing jutsus, bijudamas, Rasengans, flying Raijin, and then everything else that comes with KCM and Sage mode, so the chakra arms and frog kata, all of that, the guy is nuts. The 5 Kage are obviously a lot harder to explain because there's 5 of them, so I won't go into as much detail as I did with Minato, but Onoki can fly, use particle style, and lightweight boulder weight jutsu to either lighten or make things heavier like he did with amping the Raikage speed and strength. The Raikage has his lightning armor and is a punch kick merchant, Mei has acid, Gaara has his sand, his sealing jutsus, sand clones, all of that. Tsunade has Katsuyu, 100 healings, and is also a punch kick merchant. Getting into how the fight plays out and what would happen, there's actually not a whole lot that Kage have in their arsenal that would be able to seal Minato even if they did get the chance to. I mean, I believe it's only Gaara who has any sort of competent sealing jutsu that would be able to seal him, and even then with the flying Raijin jutsu, Minato would be able to teleport out unless they damaged him enough to where he had to start regenerating and then they sealed him, which is a possibility, but if Minato has any clones out there, they could just teleport him away or interfere with it, allowing him to escape. Let's start with Mei though. She's the easiest to dismiss because come on, she'd unironically be more useful if she left the battlefield. At least there might be some pressure on Minato wondering where she could possibly be. Also, she'd just die by a Bijudama shockwave, but that's besides the point. The remaining 4 Kage are actually useful and have potential to do something, like Onoki's particle style, which if we continue under the premise of Minato couldn't regenerate, this is an instant kill if it hit, but when you're up against a guy who can react fast enough to teleport between a full speed 8th gate guy and teleport out with ease, there's no way you can say a particle style with the slight charge up it has would be able to hit Minato when he's going buck nutty with the flying Raijin. It's just not happening. Still continuing with restricting Minato's regeneration, both Raikage and Tsunade would do lethal damage to Minato, no doubt about it. With a few hits, they were able to shatter Madara's ribcage Susanoo, which is no little feat, but Minato does have the QB avatar, which would move relative in speed to himself and would be able to withstand the hits that shattered the ribcage Susanoo. So if Minato does have the sub, they just wouldn't do damage to him. I should also bring up with Tsunade, Minato has nothing that would take her out because of her 100 healings jutsu and Katsuyu, which would just be able to out heal and repair any damage he does. I'd even go as far as saying if he shot a Bijudama at her, she could just tank it with Katsuyu. That being said, he would be quick enough to run up, place a seal on her, and teleport her back to the leaf if he wanted. Or maybe, just maybe, run up and slice her head clean off, which if you subscribe to the he can slice through the Raikage's lightning armor with a kunai theory, then this is very much possible. I guess I'll get into that now. So when talking about Minato versus the Raikage, the question of, well, how can Minato damage the Raikage always comes up, and I'll be honest, it's not the easiest one to answer for a few reasons. Firstly, a base Rasengan is not doing nearly enough damage to the Raikage, if it even could get past the lightning cloak, since Sasuke's Chidori barely went knuckle length deep into his skin, and that's Minato's whole thing is Rasengan slamming people. But then there's the flashback of the Raikage and Minato fight from the past, where Minato dodges him and was going to pile drive a kunai into the Raikage's back, but B hit him out of the way. This has caused people to believe that Minato's kunai was enough to bypass the Raikage's lightning cloak, because why would B go out of the way to save A if he wasn't in any trouble? So I'll say this. Firstly, this is a weaker A than the one during the war arc, as there was at least 16 years of training for the Raikage to do from then until now, And even when we get introduced to the Raikage, we see him training, which in return builds his physical strength and increases overall chakra pool, making his armor stronger as well as just having more time to perfect the lightning cloak itself. So there's no way to prove that this lightning cloak from A would be as durable as the one from the Kage Summit or the War Arc. B hitting A out of the way though, and A thanking him for that is pretty questionable, because this duo have fought alongside each other for years, so they should at least know how durable each other is, and since A actually thanks B for saving him, it does kind of imply that the kunai did pose a threat and could damage A, and also if Minato funnels his wind release chakra through the kunai, since it is lightning release's weakness, that could also be a way for Minato to bypass the cloak. Although I don't see how the Raikage or B would know this, since Minato hasn't used any wind release jutsus to my knowledge. This rant was kind of meaningless as it doesn't really affect the video, but just something I wanted to bring up just in case it was said in the comments. Back to the main focus of the video. Although the Raikage has been training for all those extra years and presumably getting stronger and faster, we see on multiple occasions he still holds inferiority to Minato, and always refers to the Jonin Minato, not even Hokage Minato when thinking about him. So there's a stronger version of the person A fought in the past, and now he gets a KCM buff on top of that and just places Minato in a whole different tier than these guys. And it would actually take some crazy mental gymnastics in my opinion to give actual reasons on why the 5 Kage are winning this fight, so I'm excited to hear them in the comments. To wrap this up, Minato needs to get sealed to lose, and he could just teleport himself out of the way if he's getting buried by sand or held down. He has KCM, so he gets the Kurama avatar and Bijudamas to fire off to kill at least one of the Kage if not more, though I'd say everyone other than Mei has ways to get around it. No one other than Anoki Am to V2 Raikage has a chance at keeping up with him, but with Minato having clones at his disposal along with chakra arms from the KCM, and since he's reacted to much faster people, like 8th Gate Guy, he shouldn't have an issue at catching the Kage at all their full speeds, or reacting to their attacks. It sounds lame, but he could just start teleporting them away and getting one-on-one fights all across the Naruto-verse, as flying Raja marks don't disappear since Obito still had one on his back from their first encounter at the Leaf, which Minato could easily beat the brakes out of all these Kage individually. Thank you for watching the video. If you disagree or agree with anything I said, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I hope you all enjoyed. Have a good day.